So you're standing in Best Buy, staring at a wall of TVs that all look incredible under those perfect showroom lights, thinking OLED and QLED are just marketing buzzwords that don't really matter. Maybe you're leaning toward the cheaper option because, hey, they all look pretty good, right? But here's the truth nobody tells you. Choosing between OLED and QLED isn't about specs on a box. It's about whether you'll still love your TV in year 3 or whether you'll be dealing with burn-in nightmares or a picture that looks washed out the moment you get it home and turn off those showroom lights. I'm going to show you the real data from Consumer Reports, actual user experiences from thousands of owners, and break down exactly which technology belongs in your living room. Some of these results are going to surprise you. Let's start with what the salespeople won't tell you. When you walk into that store, you're being set up for what I call the false economy trap. They'll show you a $1,200 QLED sitting next to a $2,500 OLED, and the immediate instinct is to think, well, they both look good. Why would I pay double? Here's where it gets interesting. That decision you're about to make isn't really about saving $1,300 today. It's about whether you'll be satisfied with your viewing experience every single night for the next 5 to 8 years. And the difference between these technologies? It's night and day, literally. OLED stands for Organic Light Emitting Diode. Each pixel produces its own light. When a pixel needs to be black, it turns completely off. Zero light. Perfect black. QLED stands for Quantum LED. It's Samsung's marketing term for an LCD panel with a quantum dot filter and an LED backlight. That backlight is always on to some degree, even when trying to show black. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, but my buddy swears by his QLED, says it's just as good. And that's the problem. In the right conditions, with the right content, a high-end QLED can look phenomenal. But here's what really happens when you get either technology home. Let's talk about OLED first, because this is where the confusion starts. OLED delivers picture quality that's honestly hard to believe until you see it in person. Consumer Reports gives top-tier OLEDs a perfect score for black-level performance. When you're watching a movie in a dark room, those blacks aren't gray. They're not pretty dark. They're pure black. The pixel is off. This creates contrast ratios that QLED simply cannot match. And the colors? With OLED, you're getting individual pixel control across over 8 million pixels. The color accuracy, especially in HDR content, is reference grade. We're talking about technology that professional colorists use for video editing. Viewing angles? Nearly perfect. You can sit almost anywhere in the room and the picture looks identical. No color shifting, no brightness loss. This matters more than most people realize, especially if you've got a wide seating arrangement. But here's where I need to be brutally honest with you. OLED has a reputation problem, and some of it is deserved. Burn in. It's real. Now, is it as catastrophic as the internet wants you to believe? No. But is it something you need to understand before spending $2,000 plus? Absolutely. Here's the reality. If you watch CNN for 8 hours a day with that static logo burned into the corner, yes, you will get burn in. If you game for 6 hours straight with a static HUD, year after year, yes, you're at risk. Consumer Reports' long-term testing shows that OLEDs under mixed-use conditions develop minimal burn-in over 5 years. But heavy static content? That's where problems emerge. LG, Sony, and others have implemented pixel shifting, logo dimming, and panel refresh features. These help, but they don't eliminate the risk entirely. Here's another thing. Peak brightness. QLEDs can hit 2,000 plus nits. High-end OLEDs top out around 1,000 to 1,300 nits in real-world use. If you're watching TV in a room with massive windows and afternoon sun pouring in, OLED can struggle. The picture won't look bad, but it won't have that same HDR pop that you get in a darker environment. OLEDs are like that friend who's absolutely brilliant and charming in the right setting, but put them in the wrong environment and the cracks start to show. Now let's talk about QLED. Samsung has marketed this technology brilliantly, and to be fair, they've made massive improvements over the years. Brightness. This is where QLED dominates. We're talking 1,500 to 2,500 nits of peak brightness, depending on the model. In a bright room, QLED is king. That HDR content, those specular highlights in a sunset or an explosion, they pop in ways that OLED simply can't match in bright viewing conditions. No burn-in risk. Period. You can leave your TV on CNBC all day, Play the same video game for years with a static HUD, and you'll never have to worry about permanent image retention. For some users, this peace of mind alone justifies the choice. And here's something people overlook: lifespan. QLEDs use traditional LCD technology with a quantum dot enhancement. These panels are proven to last 10+ years without degradation. OLEDs? The organic compounds degrade over time. Slowly, but they do degrade. But let's break down what really happens when you get a QLED home. Black levels. This is where the physics of the technology become unavoidable. Even with full-array local dimming and hundreds of dimming zones, you cannot compete with a pixel that turns completely off. Watch a movie with letterbox bars in a dark room. On an OLED, those bars are invisible. On a QLED, you'll see a faint glow. It's called blooming or haloing. And once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Consumer Reports data shows that even the best QLEDs score around 8.5 out of 10 for black level performance. OLEDs? Perfect 10s across the board. Here's another big one. Sit dead center in front of a QLED and it looks fantastic. Shift 30 degrees to the side, the colors wash out. Blacks get even grayer. Contrast drops. This is an LCD limitation that quantum dots can't fix. If you've got a wide living room or a large family that spreads out across the couch, this matters a lot. And here's what Samsung doesn't advertise. Not all QLEDs are created equal. There's a massive difference between a $700 entry-level QLED and a $2,500 flagship model. That cheap QLED? It's got maybe 50 to 60 dimming zones. A high-end model might have 500 plus. The difference in picture quality is enormous. So when someone tells you QLED is just as good as OLED, you need to ask, which QLED? Because that entry-level model they're comparing? It's not even in the same conversation as a proper OLED. Let's break it down by real-world scenarios, because this is where the rubber meets the road. First scenario, darkroom movie watching. Winner? OLED. Not even close. If you're a movie enthusiast who dims the lights, OLED is the only answer. The perfect blacks, the infinite contrast, the way colors pop against true darkness. This is what filmmakers intended. Consumer Reports scores OLEDs 9.8 to 10 for darkroom performance. Even the best QLEDs top out at 8.5. Second scenario, bright living room, daytime viewing. Winner? QLED. If your TV faces windows and you watch during the day, QLED's brightness advantage becomes crucial. That extra luminance cuts through ambient light in ways OLED struggles with. You're not fighting glare, and HDR content still delivers impact. Third scenario, gaming. Winner? It's complicated. For competitive gaming with static HUDs, QLED is safer. No burn-in risk, high refresh rates available on both platforms, excellent response times across the board. For story-driven, cinematic games in darker environments, OLED's picture quality creates immersion that QLED can't match. But you need to use the burn-in protection features religiously. Fourth scenario, mixed use, movies, sports, news, gaming. Winner? High-end QLED or OLED with caution. Here's where your usage patterns matter. If you vary your content and don't marathon 12 hours of the same thing daily, modern OLEDs handle mixed use well. But if you're a news junkie or someone who plays one game obsessively, QLED gives you peace of mind. Fifth scenario, budget consciousness. Winner? Mid-range QLED. Here's the truth. A $1,200 OLED doesn't exist with decent size and specs. OLEDs start around $1,500 to $1,800 for a 55-inch. But you can get a really solid QLED with 200+ dimming zones for $900 to $1,200 that will serve you well for years. The false economy trap is buying a $600 entry-level QLED thinking you're getting the same experience. You're not. All right, let's get specific. Here are your best options in each category right now. Starting with OLED top tier, don't compromise here. Number 1 is the LG G4 OLED. Micro lens array technology boosts brightness to competitive levels. Consumer Reports reliability score is 4 out of 5. Perfect for darkroom enthusiasts willing to pay premium. Price ranges from $2,500 to $3,500 depending on size. This is the reference standard. Period. Number 2 is the Sony A95 LQD OLED. Quantum dot OLED combines OLED blacks with enhanced color and brightness. Best color accuracy in the industry. Consumer Reports score is 9.9 out of 10 for picture quality. Number 3 is the LG C4 OLED. The value OLED pick, if you can call it that. Nearly identical performance to G4 in dark rooms. Consumer Reports reliability is 4 out of 5. Price ranges from $1,500 to $2,500. Perfect for your first OLED or budget-conscious enthusiasts. Moving to QLED top tier. Number 1 is the Samsung QN90D. 500 plus dimming zones, mini LED backlight. 2000 plus nits peak brightness. Consumer Reports gives it 9.2 out of 10 overall. Price ranges from $1,800 to $2,800. Perfect for bright rooms, mixed use, peace of mind. Number 2 is the TCL QM8. Mind-blowing value, 1000 plus dimming zones. Matches Samsung on brightness, costs 40% less. Consumer Reports gives it 8.8 out of 10. Price ranges from $1,200 to $2,000. Perfect for smart shoppers who want flagship performance. Number 3 is the Hisense U8N. The dark horse nobody talks about. 500 plus zones, excellent gaming features. Consumer Reports gives it 8.5 out of 10. Price ranges from $900 to $1,500. Perfect for budget-conscious buyers who refuse to compromise. And the budget champion under $1,000 is the TCL Q7 QLED. 200 dimming zones, respectable for the price. Good color accuracy, solid smart features. Consumer Reports gives it 7.8 out of 10. Price ranges from $700 to $900. Perfect for first-time buyers or secondary TVs. Here's how you actually make this decision. Choose OLED if you watch primarily in a controlled lighting environment, evening or darkroom. Choose OLED if picture quality is your absolute top priority. Choose OLED if you vary your content, movies, different shows, different games. Choose OLED if you're willing to use burn-in protection features. Choose OLED if your budget allows $1,500 plus for a quality panel. Choose QLED if your TV faces windows or you watch during the day frequently. Choose QLED if you watch a lot of news, sports with static tickers, or play one game obsessively. Choose QLED if you want zero burn-in anxiety. Choose QLED if you prioritize brightness and HDR impact in bright rooms. Choose QLED if you want the longest possible lifespan without degradation. If you're spending under $1,200, buy the best QLED you can afford. Entry-level OLEDs don't exist, and stretching your budget for a used or lower-tier OLED isn't worth it. If you're spending $1,500 to $2,000, this is where the decision gets personal. Both technologies deliver incredible experiences. Go to a store, look at both in person, think about your actual room and viewing habits. If you're spending $2,500 plus, get the OLED unless your room is flooded with natural light. At this price point, OLED picture quality dominates. Here's what I tell everyone. The best TV is the one you'll be happy with in year 3, not the one that impresses you at the store. QLED owners rarely regret their purchase if they bought the right model for their room. OLED owners rarely regret their purchase if they use it properly. What causes regret? Buying cheap and expecting flagship performance. Or buying without understanding how you actually watch TV. Look, the TV industry wants to confuse you. They want you paralyzed by choices, so you either overspend on features you don't need or cheap out and regret it 6 months later. You now have the real information. You understand the actual trade-offs. You know which models deliver and which ones are just marketing hype. If this video saved you from making an expensive mistake, smash that like button. I've got comprehensive buying guides linked below with even more detailed breakdowns, specific model comparisons, and calibration tips. Next week, we're exposing the streaming device market because those $30 dongles are not all created equal, and some of them are going to cost you way more than $30 in frustration. Drop a comment and let me know, Team OLED or Team QLED, which technology fits your life. I'm here to help you make smart buying decisions. See you in the next one.